I love doing surveillance in the rain, but it puts a damper because you can't really take photos through the windows because you can't turn your windshield wipers on. We're also the person sitting on the park bench reading a book that has a hole in it with a camera, sitting in there, or I'm the person pushing a baby stroller that doesn't have a baby in it. My name is Marcella Cava. I own and operate Down Low Investigations. Obviously, I'm a female and one of the very few female-owned and operated businesses. I have an amazing team of males and females. I originally was a law enforcement officer, and that it motivated me to open and own and operate my own private investigative firm named Down Low Investigations. And luckily, I have an amazing team of individuals that are all retired police officers, DEA agents, FBI agents from all over the country that work with me to accomplish our clients' goals. Specifically for this firm, I provide, obviously it's a criminal defense firm, so when there is, let's say, a DUI or somebody supposedly, allegedly commits a crime, I go back to the scene, I try and collect video, I try to identify potential witnesses that may have information that could help our client or just help the lawyers understand, get the full vision of what may or may not have happened. And I get official statements from them. I speak to victims, I collect evidence from the scene. Oftentimes a lot of things are left over and so forth. There's multiple layers to every case. My goal is to listen to what the lawyer who hired me needs. They're serving the client, so what the lawyer needs, I listen to what their needs are, and I try to accomplish those goals and to help the client. So if they call me at 2 o'clock in the morning and they need me to be somewhere at 3 a.m. because the time can't wait, and that's what's best for the client, I'm getting my butt out of bed and I'm going to the scene and doing what they need me to do. I wanted to transition from being a police officer because I personally don't need to be structured. I didn't need the 8 to 8, hey, work hard. I really enjoyed my job. In fact, I couldn't believe I was getting paid for what I was doing back then, and I still can't believe I make money doing something that I absolutely love. So I didn't need the structure. I also had a family, and so my interest changed a little bit. I got to see things through a different lens. So I wanted to be able to work more for the other sides. I was seeing arresting criminals when I was a police officer, but there were many reasons as to why people do what they do. It's very one-sided. A detective, a police officer is working several, if not 10 to 20 cases, if not more at a time. This way I can focus solely on the task at hand and helping the client. Yes, I testified in court a lot as a police officer, and I testify now whenever it's needed. It's always interesting. I get asked the same question 9 different ways and so forth, but it goes with the territory. I'm there to tell the truth and just what is factual, what I saw, what I observed, and so forth. So when necessary, of course, I testify in court. I can get access to like really old accident reports. I have access to cameras throughout the state and so forth. So let's say somebody was possibly at a restaurant drinking before and I need to prove or disprove that perhaps they were there. Oftentimes I get lucky and I can get a video, an image with a timestamp showing them at a specific restaurant or a bar, and then I can go to the bar and potentially pull the video and so forth. In DUIs, since I worked on both sides and did DUIs, actually gave out DUIs and so forth, I'm able to look at the probable cause affidavit and look at the body worn camera footage and, different maybe the in-car camera and so forth. And I can hear the 10 codes and signals and things like that, and maybe pick up on another officer, let's say on the side, saying, I don't think they seem intoxicated, or you should do one more test because this just doesn't seem like we have enough PC for it. So I do also dive into the reports, and again, it's not because the lawyers aren't incredible. It's just seeing it from being able to work it on the other side, and then also knowing that we can also dive into a detective's file. Listen, detectives are great that work for police departments, but they make mistakes too. They're working 12-hour shifts, and if they get a DUI on their 11th hour, there could be a mistake somewhere. I would say the biggest misconception that people have about PI work is they watch way too many movies, and they just think that, we can put an image into the computer or get somebody's DNA, and believe it or not, there's not a week that goes by and somebody wants me to pull a fingerprint, and I have to say, well, what do you want me to compare this fingerprint to? What's your goal here? Well, can't you just put it into the system and have you had your fingerprints done? There's no comparison. So really, I think that's the biggest misconception. People watch too many crime shows and so forth and just think, at the snap of our finger, we can get things done and find out who did this and who did that. The plus to hiring a PI in my firm specifically, it's endless to all the positives. And if you think about it, the worst case scenario is maybe we don't find what you're looking for, but there's such an upside and endless things that we can do, and approaches and avenues. There's so many layers that we can peel to help your case or to just get the information that you want. It could be something so basic, but it's important to you. Or it's important to your small case or your big case. I think it's important to hire us because we want to attain your goals. We want to get the knowledge that you want, and we don't stop. We work day and night. And like I said, specifically for this firm, for the Rossen Law Firm, I turn my ringer off at night, otherwise my phone would be going off. But for this firm, all the lawyers and so forth, I have it so it's an emergency. It comes through as an emergency, so it actually breaks through my silent barrier in the middle of the night and my phone will ring. So, if you just wait a few hours, if you let that pass and don't call my firm, it could make or break your case. There's so many things. I love doing surveillance in the rain, but, it puts a damper because you can't really take photos through the windows because you can't turn your windshield wipers on. Another thing in South Florida is the heat. So, if we're in a neighborhood, obviously a car running is a huge red flag for even the most unobservant person on the planet. So we oftentimes have to have like a little personal AC in the car and so forth. I think another thing is that most people, again, they watch too many movies and just assume that we're always in cars with limo tint. And that's just not the case. We're also the person sitting on the park bench reading a book that has a hole in it with a camera, sitting in there, or I'm the person pushing a baby stroller that doesn't have a baby in it. If you're in need of a private investigator and you're not working with an attorney, you're welcome to call me on my cell phone anytime, day or night. You can text me as well or email me. My email address is downlowinvestigations@yahoo.com, and I will either be the one to help and answer your questions, and we work all over the country, all over Florida. So it would either be myself working for you or somebody awesome from my team. I will put on your case.